things, man. All kinds of things. We should start off with the fact that between these two fucks that left the office and that are now in the office, combined total in 2 days, what is it, 9,564 pardons.
Was I included in that list?
No, you weren't.
Damn
because
it.
neither one of them know you. And remember, not too long ago, you and I had a show where we actually talked about the presidential pardons and how Trump's first 4 years, it was 257, right?
Yes.
Yesterday, he pardoned all 1,500 people associated with January 6th.
Which, if that doesn't incense you on some level, there's something wrong with you.
But check it out. Uncle Joe, or Daddy Joe as they called him, he pardoned all the other ones on his side for the January 6th committee.
I saw that.
So they both fucking pardoned each other's chaos because they go ahead.
Which to me, on some level,
Yeah.
proves that they were both complicit.
Thank you. They were both fucknuts that had no business doing what they were doing, but did it anyway.
There's only
Just
two ways you can look at that.
Right.
One is they were complicit. They
Yes.
knew what was going on,
Yes.
and they looked the other way.
Right.
Or they're both completely fucking stupid. There's no other way to look at it.
Right.
That's my opinion.
No, I do.
You want
That's
to come
why-
on the
yeah.
podcast and be
Yeah.
a guest and tell me why I'm wrong? Please, I welcome it. You know,
Yeah.
I can be molded.
Right. I think it's a combination of both.
I do too. I agree with you.
I
On
don't,
this, we agree.
Yeah, I don't think that Trump thought the country would take his words to action. I don't think the country thought that Biden would actually step up and do anything after the fact. And they both clusterfucked the entire thing from start to finish, that there was no way to unravel it aside from pardoning everybody. Biden set a world record of pardons in one single day. He pardoned everybody in his family but his wife. Why? Because his wife can't testify against him. Everybody in his family, man.
I saw that.
Everybody. Like, what the fuck?
Two
I
things.
feel like, yeah.
I agree with everything you said. Well said.
Right.
And
Thank
I'm
you, thank
so
you, thank
glad that you brought the word clusterfuck back to my vocabulary. I had dropped it somehow. And you said it when
You're
we
welcome.
had the snafu with the podcast, and I was like, hey, back in the
yeah.
repertoire. It went back in the fuck bucket.
Back into the repertoire. I'm wondering if I have an echo sound. I
You
feel
do
like I
not.
haven't. Okay, good, because I feel like I have an echo. Maybe it's because I put the mic over here today. Usually it's going the other way, and I figured I would change it up a bit and be like, oh, let's go on this side.
With the setup that you have, just FYI,
Yes.
you should never have an echo.
Right on. Good
You're
to know.
wearing headphones, and you have one of the best microphones they make.
I am wearing headphones,
Yes.
and I do have a microphone.
Yes.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Ariat. A fine hat and western wear. Ariat. Find an
just
Ariat
getting
store
ready to
near
ask
you.
you.
Now, motherfuckers, you owe us like $1,000 for that plug. Let's go.
What is Ariat? But
I don't
you
know.
You answered my question.
It's that I like their hats, man. It's the in my age, I'm liking the trucker hat. This is considered a trucker hat, right? Like, you're not a trucker hat. This is a trucker hat.
Because I'm comfortable with my sexuality, I'll say it looks very good on you, sir.
Jake was like, dude, I like that hat. My red one. He's like, where'd you get that hat, Dad? I'm like, I don't know. Somebody gave it to me. So I found this one. I was doing something, and I was like, oh, I should see if they have hats. You know, and I saw one there's a place called Shopper Supply that Nikki and I frequent on occasion for stuff. And they had a really cool picture of it. I'm like, that's a cool hat, but I couldn't find it, so I went online. So I don't know.
I like it. I need to up my hat game now that we're doing the podcast because it's much more comfortable when you're wearing headphones.
I know,
And
that's
this
why
is
I
the
do it. Yeah.
only one that I have that doesn't like give me a headache after an hour and a half or 2 hours or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know how people can do even when I was in the studio with no hair, I had something on my head under the headphone because it's not comfortable.
No, it's not like it's painful. It's just weird, you know?
Yeah. It is weird.
You don't have any hair there to and these are very nice
Buffer.
headphones.
It doesn't buffer it. Like you have hair buffers are like when you shaved your head, did you notice that you run in did you notice that once you shaved your head you run into shit because you don't have the hair follicles standing on your head when you're close to something?
Is that why that happens?
That's why that fucking happens, man.
I just thought I was
like no.
uncoordinated.
No, that's why it happens, man. I was like, holy shit. It's like it's the amount of time that I hit my head now without hair is astounding. You know. Speaking of music, Squirrel. So you were working yesterday, so you couldn't actually watch the inauguration, correct?
Nor would I have anyway.
I watched it just out of sheer curiosity because I wanted to see reactions and shit, okay?
I get it, and I'm thankful that somebody did so that you can report back on it.
Yeah, so everybody Hillary laughed her ass off when he said he was going to change the Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America.
I would have laughed too.
Like, you know, I think it's
silly.
It is silly, but you know, what the fuck? Why not, right? If you can't take your job, if you take your job too seriously, then what the fuck are you doing? I think it's funny. Whether or not he actually accomplishes that or not is a moot point. I just think it's funny that
I get it. It doesn't make me angry. It's funny.
Yeah. So Hillary laughed. Biden and Harris most of the time Biden had his hand over his mouth. So it's almost like he was talking shit. Trump legitimately, and we turned it on like literally right after J.D. Vance. Is that his name? J.D. Vance? J.D. Vance was sworn in. Which, squirrel moment again. True story. J.D. Vance's autobiography is the book/movie Hillbilly Elegy.
Yes.
Yes.
I learned that early on too. I
learned it yesterday.
I keep my mouth shut on a lot of shit because I know other people don't research. Right. So when you start saying things, you know, all they have to draw from is what they see on TV, right?
Sure.
Could be, it may or may not be true, right?
Right.
We've been over this ad nauseum. Rupert Murdoch went to court, won the case that the news does not have to be accurate. It's for entertainment purposes only.
Right.
So I was fascinated that that's who he chose, and I think if you asked him privately and you got a true response, he would say I fucked up because that guy's a moron. He just is.
Yeah.
He says stupid shit. He doesn't speak well. He doesn't think his thoughts through. He just parrots whatever he's told to say, and then the shit that he goes out on his own is hilarious. So that's enough about that fucking tool.
So, but that's probably why Trump picked him.
Because he's a good parrot.
He's a yes man.
Sure.
He's a yes man. Trump, I don't.
Another reason I don't like him.
Right. Trump's surrounding himself by yes men. He's not
correct.
He's not surrounding himself by people that will keep him accountable and give him, well, what about this instead?
Which, if you take the time to go to Netflix and watch the Dirty Money episode on him, that's what everybody that worked for him, that's their biggest criticism of him is he will not take constructive criticism. So the guy that runs the Taj Mahal is the ones that always sticks in my head. He had been managing that place for quite some time, long enough to know.
Okay.
And he said, as long as that fucker's not around, we make money hand over fist. But the second that he puts himself into the day-to-day operations of the casino, everything goes to hell.
No shit.
Yeah, the whole point of that episode is America wanted a good businessman, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's not a good businessman. He just isn't. Warren Buffett said if he had taken Daddy's $200 million that he gave him in 1976 or whatever it was, and just put it in simple index funds, he would be worth twice what he claims to be worth today.
Wow.
His point being, that's who I listen to.
Yeah.
I'm not here saying I think that he's not a good
Right.
businessman.
No.
One of the richest men in the world said it.
Yeah. Yeah. Who has substantially, continuously always been one of the richest men in the world. And
you know how he got there? Slow and steady wins the race. He wasn't out there buying, like failing companies and trying to get them back, going again.
Right. Wasn't buying IPOs and,
Right.
all that kind of shit. That's interesting. So yeah, I didn't realize that. I've seen that movie, The Hillbilly Effigy, but I didn't put two and two together till I think, what was it, after the inauguration was done, and then all the talking bobbleheads were chitter-chattering.
Yep.
Somebody brought it up, and I looked at Nikki. I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, you didn't know that? I was like, no, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
That's interesting.
So I pulled you all the way away from music. You were going to tell me something about the music portion of the inauguration. Sorry.
Okay, so Carrie Underwood, okay?
Okay. Carrie Underwear.
Underwear, yeah.
Yes.
So it gets to the point where she's coming out. She's being led out by some military personnel.
Okay.
To sing America the Beautiful, or God Bless America? One of the two. I think it's God Bless America. Well, the Army National Band was supposed to back her up. So a minute goes by, and I'm saying, I muddled to Nikki. I'm like, she should just sing this a cappella. Like, this is dead air. This is dead air. This is like...
No shit.
It's bad. Dead air's bad. They waited a couple more minutes, and the band wasn't... Something was going on. Carrie was up there kind of looking around. She was still being graceful and shit, just kind of standing there. It looked gorgeous what she was wearing. As Trump,
she is beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful woman. Beautiful. And she's getting all kinds of fucking slack now because she sang at the inauguration, and then there was a moment, where they leaned in and chatted after she left. Like, who gives a fuck if she likes Trump or if she likes Biden? It doesn't matter. She's an entertainer. She was there to entertain. Right?
Nemesis had gone on, and we were one of the most sought-after bands in the world. Even feeling the way I do about him, he's still my president. That's the difference between me.
Yes.
And I'm going to say it. That's the difference between me and you true fucking Trumpers who basically would kneel down and suck his dick. They would. Yeah. Because when he lost, it was not my president. They made fucking T-shirts.
Yep.
That man is my president.
Yeah,
I can disagree with him because it's a free country.
Because you voted. Yes. If you vote, you have. If I've always been of the mindset. If you vote, you have the right to complain. If you didn't vote, shut the fuck up. Go sit down and watch.
I used to say that too, but in my kinder, gentler days, we also have the right to do whatever the fuck we want in this country, right? You have the right to not.
Agreed.
I wrote myself in. I sent you a picture of it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to vote on the rest of the shit.
Sure.
Right? Mm-hmm. I agree. I still agree with you mostly. It's your civic duty, and that's one of the things. Well, that's the most important thing you have, other than the fact that you're alive and a human being, right? You live in a free country with the right to have some kind of say in the outcome of your day-to-day existence.
Yeah.
It's not lost on me that that's getting smaller and smaller, the amount of influence that Chris Dunham and Mike Michaels have over the actual day-to-day operations of the United States. But until they take that right away, you should exercise it. I agree.
Yes. So it was America the Beautiful that she sang. Okay.
She did outstanding.
I kept telling Nikki. I kept telling Nikki she just needs to sing this thing. Just sing it. Stop waiting. So finally, she just fucking busted it out and tried to get the dignitaries involved, but dignitaries are all got sticks up their ass, so they wouldn't sing. Yeah, the people behind her kind of half singing it. Kamala Harris was kind of doing the.
I kind of know 2 or 3 of the words.
Right. She had stood in front of Kamala Harris for a while, which I thought was a good thing. But yeah, she nailed that shit, dude. Like it would have ruined it having the band. Like if do over again, just walk out there, fucking, pick up the mic. Like she had it in her hand the whole time and it was, so it wasn't lip synced. It wasn't, there was no backing tape shit. It was her standing there on her own fucking 2 feet and showcasing to the world that was watching, if the world was watching, what a beautiful fucking voice she has in range, and she nailed that. 1 minute 17 seconds is how long it took to sing the song. Yeah, and it probably took 5 minutes of dead air for her just to be like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna do this," and she rocked it, man. And then so now, again, you have people, backlash. She's a traitor. Like, fuck off, man. She's an entertainer. She probably didn't even get paid to do that. She did it out of respect for being.
She's
asked.
the opposite of a traitor. That's
Right?
why if we were asked to do it, even though I
A.
disagree with the way that he runs his operation, fuck yeah, I would have been there.
Yep.
That's an honor to be.
Hell yes.
And so and I guess that's my biggest problem with where we're at right now is if you go back and you research him in the 90s, which is the first time that he ever said that they asked him, have you ever considered running for president or some bullshit like that?
Yeah, yeah.
It was Matt Lauer or whoever was on the Today Show then. And
good old Matt Lauer. Button under the desk.
You'll find what I'm talking about if you want to fact check me. Just you got to type in Trump says I would run as a Republican.
Okay.
So he said, not at this time, but sure, I've considered it. And he didn't come out and say it, but now that I see what he did, he just basically stole Reagan's platform, right?
Yeah, you've talked about that before.
To the T. It was plagiarized 110%. He didn't invent anything that he did. He just stole what Reagan did. And it worked for Reagan too. I just learned this yesterday. Here's something I did not know. So every time that he claims that he got the most votes and it was the biggest landslide, and it's not even close.
I know.
Reagan, old man Bush mopped up. They were there. Nobody has ever come close to what they did.
No.
They won 38 states outright, just cleaned up.
Yeah.
They won 350 some electoral votes.
Wow.
So that part, he does, I think, hold the second ranking. But anyway, he said that I would run as a Republican because the Christian right, the hardcore Christian right, has to vote Republican, right?
Right.
So that was Reagan's. He's the one that stole that initially. He said, we got to get the Christians, right?
Okay.
And it worked, obviously, because they mopped up. So here's a guy who admitted that he wasn't a Christian back then. He wasn't a Republican. If you notice, he did not put his hand on the Bible. There was a book in between.
I know. I heard that. I didn't see it, but I heard there was, and they were talking about it after the fact, that there was a snafu between, somehow the Bible wasn't there when it was supposed to be there. So, he just put his hand out, because it wasn't there yet and did the thing. So yeah, I did.
I personally admire him for that because
I didn't see it, but I heard about it.
There's video evidence of him saying, he's not a Christian. He's not, and now you got, to me, it's just, I couldn't stand up there and act like something that I wasn't,
Yeah, I agree.
That's my biggest problem with him. If anybody wants to know, he's a fucking hypocrite. He's a liar. He's everything that you were raised. I was. I know you had a different upbringing,
right?
But the Norman Rockwell American family was raised to believe that the presidency was the highest aspiration in the United States.
Yes, agreed.
Now you got a fucking buffoon in there who's being reveled as like the second coming of Christ.
Yeah.
To me, it's like, I've never had the same morals and values that everybody else. And I'm finally like, holy shit, the United States caught up to me because they don't give a fuck either now too.
Yeah. I think
but that's not how people look at it.
They don't.
They believe that he is really out to help and save them.
Yeah.
I just don't think that's true.
Yeah, and time's going to tell. Time will tell.
I hope I'm wrong. I got to live here too.
Well, see, that's the thing. That's kind of like, and we talked about it before. My thought process, with the 4-year gap between his first presidency and second one is, and this could be completely fucking the most naive statement I've ever made in my life, going back to when I said it before. I'm hoping that he learned what not to do those first 4 years, and what he did wrong in the 4-year gap, sitting back on the sidelines and watching, and is now going to go in and do all the things that he should have done for the country, not for himself, because this will be his legacy. These next 4 years will actually be his legacy. The first 4 years, you know, he didn't know the fuck he was doing, right? He's not a politician, never has been. But now he's had the opportunity to sit back and reflect on what he did those 4 years, and then watch what the Biden-Harris administration did for their 4 years. And now he has the opportunity to fix his fuck ups and create a legacy that he and his family can be proud of, which in turn, hopefully, we as a country can be like, okay, you know, he did get a second opportunity to do this, and he did it right.
That's what I hope for too. No,
right. And I may be, people look at me like when I say that, because I've had this conversation with other people, they're like, just, you're fucking stupid. I'm like, okay, well, I'm trying to find the silver lining to it. I don't want to.
So for all the bullshit that I just said,
yeah,
I want your version.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah, I know. I do. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
1,000,000%. I want gas to be $1.50 a gallon, like it should be. It should be fucking 50 cents, and they'd still be making billions, trillions.
Right. Well, according to Landman, the gas has to be the oil has to be between 70.
Wasn't that fascinating?
And $82, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah. He said that sweet spot is what, $85 a barrel, right, or 75?
I think the sweet spot was 78.
$78 a barrel.
But you have that range between the two. And I looked at some
when it gets up to 100, what I found fascinating is nobody can make any money. Right. So you're paying $5, $6 if you live in California, $7, whatever.
Right.
We're paying $4 at that point.
Right.
And nobody's making any money. I found that fucking fascinating.
Yeah,
so if you people at home have Paramount Plus, is that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah, Paramount Plus.
And you have not watched Landman, do yourself a favor. Because you get an education on how the oil and gas business works.
And I'm only on episode 4.
Fucking fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm all caught up. It just...
Yeah. And the truth bombs, people talk about the truth bombs that Billy Bob Thornton drops. He drops the one about the clean air / alternative energy windmills. Remember that?
They used to pump the fucking oil out of the ground.
Right?
I love that scene, dude.
And then, so I looked it up because Nick is like, well, you can't just believe everything you see on TV. I'm like, I know. So I looked it up.
I did too.
The amount of concrete that's required to pour into the ground. Yep. So you have to have all the.
We have them all over here, dude.
Right.
All
over. So does California, right? So you have to have, and so does Texas, obviously, and probably Oklahoma and all those other states with the drill oil. But it's kind of like the lithium, to get the lithium out of the Earth's core, right? Or wherever they fucking mine that shit.
Yep.
It's what is it? 260 hours of diesel fueled vehicles.
250 gallons of diesel in a 12-hour shift. Yes.
Right. So and the Earth's and the man-made largest piece of
equipment.
Right.
Yep. Those big ass Caterpillar things.
Yes.
You see?
Yes. So for these fucking wind generating things, it's not
Turbines.
Clean oil. It's not clean energy. It's alternative energy, which I thought was fascinating because I always looked at those.
It's a key word.
It's clean energy, but it's not. It's alternative energy. The amount of concrete they had to drop in the ground, the fucking holes they got to dig to put the concrete in the ground.
I love when he says, he's like, don't you think if these fucking things worked, that Exxon would fucking plaster them all over the United States?
Yep. It's true though, and you don't think of that.
True.
You don't think of that shit. And I'm being a writer, right? I mean, I can call myself a writer because I've published books and that kind of jazz.
1,000,000%.
So being a writer,
you don't call yourself a writer. You are a writer.
No, okay. So, but I'm ravishing over Taylor Sheridan, how he writes shit.
Isn't that fascinating?
Because number one, the dude's gay as all get out. Okay,
that I did not know.
Yeah, straight up gay man, which is fine.
Yeah,
but everything he's writing, and all the perspectives of everything he's doing, is from a gay man. So the women situations and the sexual situations on Landman itself, I find kind of ironic. It's like, okay, so he's like you wouldn't ever think a show would have like Billy Bob Thornton's daughter. I mean, she's fucking hot. Let's be honest, on the show. And she's, wears next to nothing. She's doing, women type aerobics and shit. Several scenes making the guy in the house like.
I love the old man.
Right. But
I can't get any work done.
Right, but nobody would write that shit. because it's so taboo. But he's writing it because it's real life. That shit's real. Like, that stuff happens. It's not bullshit. Of course it does. But that's the beautiful thing about how he writes shit. He's just writing it, and whether it's from experience, whether it's from just watching people and observing, because a lot of about writing is observing and understanding and journaling and honing your craft. But his writing is fantastic.
I agree.
Awesome.
And something that you brought up that triggered a thought for me is, for people who live a normal, everyday existence, they get up, they go to work, they take the kids to school, they pick the kids up. They're trying to do the best they can to be what, society would consider normal parents.
Yep.
So if you people are the ones that are listening to this right now, there's actually people that live like Chris and I, who we kind of fly by the seat of our pants, and we enjoy every moment that's afforded to us, right?
Yes.
That's what you're seeing when you're seeing a family like that, right?
Right.
There's people that really live like that. I agree with you. It's actually more outlandish than that in a lot of instances. He's for people who think that he's overindulging, he's actually holding back, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Based on what you and I have seen and experienced in our lives.
Right. I just think the writing is brilliant.
It is, man.
The first episode, I was like, is this going to be good? But then once you get past everything has to have that background.
You got to let him do the backstory a little bit. But more importantly than that, which is a point that you brought up, is his character development is outstanding.
It's very outstanding. It's brilliant the way that he weaves all that in and out. And every episode, it's more and more. You're diving into these characters, it's just not, here they are. There's dimensions to them, and there's...
Yeah, what's the word they use? You get invested.
Yes, you are invested.
Yes.
I told Nikki we watched episode, maybe we watched 3, 4, 5 last night, or 4 or 5 or whatever it is, but it was just, it's like, you don't want it to end.
Exactly.
Because he says such a good job.
And that's a key statement right there. Mm-hmm. I am very hyper aware sometimes when I'm watching a show and that happens to me, where I'm like, I'll hit pause just to make sure, you see how much time I got left, right?
Right.
It's like, fuck, this thing's done in 12 minutes. I'm so sad, And then there's other shows you watch and you're like, I can't wait for this fucking episode to end,
Well, that's the beautiful thing about Netflix. You just hit exit, because there's stuff we've tried to watch. Like, this is fucking stupid.
But I'm just putting it on par with what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like with the guy behind the scenes, it's actually putting pen to paper and saying, how do I make this engaging, and how do I make this where the viewer, is so caught up in it that they just don't think about anything else. And that's the best way I can describe watching that show is, other shows I'm watching, I'll be on my phone, I'll be playing SimCity, whatever. Yep. That show, I consciously put my phone on the other end of the couch. It's like, I got to pay attention because it's worth it, right?
Yeah.
On that same platform is Mayor of Kingstown. Have you ever watched that?
Not yet. I started 20 minutes into it and then I stopped for whatever reason, but I will pick that up.
That's also him.
But yeah, I realized there's a whole collection of his stuff on Paramount. So, but Landman, Sopranos.
Oh.
Right? Those are... Right, but that's going back to what you just said. It's the ones where you lose Game of Thrones.
Sure.
You lose time. All of a sudden you're 3 episodes in, it's like, what the fuck? I've watched 3 hours of fucking this show. I'm sitting on my ass. I'm a lazy fuck.
I'm not going to lie. I took 2 vacation days watching Game of Thrones. I was like, I just got to stay home for a couple of days and just binge this
But that's the thing, though, right? That's the brilliance of writing, and that's what you aspire to be as a writer for movies and TVs and that kind of thing. Is just you want people to get lost in your stuff.
Same thing with the music, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We get lost in the music. We hope other people do too. There's no guarantees.
No. Oh, but yeah, that's a good. So yeah, I know he's got Lamb. I know he's got Mayor of Kingstown. I know he's got Yellowstone.
Sure.
And the prequels and the sequels.
1883, 1923.
Right.
So you start thinking about that body at Tulsa King.
Yeah.
Think about that body of work in this short amount of time.
Right.
I know to him, he's been writing this his whole life. I get it. And he's talked about that, right?
Yeah.
I spent 20 years becoming an overnight sensation, just like everybody else.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But to have that quality continue on from show to show is fascinating, because everything has to go right. The acting, the cinematography, the writing, it's just one thing after another has to be perfect. And he's done it, would we just say 6, 7 times?
Well, Yellowstone opened the door, I think. And then
no question.
Once Yellowstone reached that pinnacle of success, which Yellowstone wouldn't have had the success it had, I don't think, without Kevin Costner. I think Kevin Costner took that show. And that's Horizon Part 2 for Kevin Costner's dropping in about 3 or 4 months, I believe. So if you haven't watched Horizon 1, watch Part 1. Got to go watch that.
So with that said, wouldn't you agree that Kevin Costner opened the door to get Chris to watch it, to get Mike to watch it, to get, Middle America to watch it?
Yep.
But did Beth not steal the show?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Beth was a badass for sure. Nikki loves the attorney, the female attorney in Landman.
Me too.
The chick. Like,
Me
she's
too.
just fucking. Now, the weird thing about her, okay, this shows you how ingrained you get in something. She's beautiful, right? Like, she's very easy on the eyes. But then when they zoom in on her, her face is full of freckles. So a little of the attractiveness for me goes away because the face is full of freckles. But it depends on how they do the cinematography. I know, but it depends on how they do the shot. Because sometimes there's no freckles, and other times the face is fucking full of freckles. I don't get that shit.
Yeah,
like,
freckles ain't gonna bother me.
The cinematographer, it just makes her look like a different woman. That's all. It's just, it's bizarre because I even told Nikki, I'm like, because Nikki loves her. She loves the attitude, loves the fucking.
It's gonna be dark anyway.
You can't be dark, man. You got to see what you're doing.
I got it covered, brother.
Well, I figured, but still, got to be some kind of, ambient lighting, man. It's more fun with ambient lighting. Just saying.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I'm being crude now. That was crude.
You're not being crude. You're being
fucking honest.
Yeah, if you don't like it, I mean, don't listen. I mean, we are in what was our new country?
Philippines.
We
are now in the Philippines. Welcome, Philippines.
Welcome,
We're so happy that you found us.
Germany and Philippines. And then Gravy, I didn't check the hose today, man, but I'm sure it was frozen,
That made me laugh.
I
you know how you intended that, of course.
Oh, I do. And that's, that was a great, I totally innuendoed that shit. And I was just like, yeah.
He's like, ask him if his hose is frozen too.
Yeah, fucking, it, the other day, 3 days ago when it was the weekend, so I think Friday morning or Saturday, I think, it was freezing again that morning, and I went out to turn on the sprinklers because we didn't do irrigation because they broke some pipes or something, so I have to manual water it before the wedding to make sure it's, up to par. I went and turned my hose on blast, and I walked back in the house, I looked to the left, I'm like it's kind of like somebody who's got prostrate just kind of go whoop whoop whoop. I'm like, so I went and shut it off, and I walked in the house. I'm like, the sprinkler system's not working. She's like, well, the water's frozen again. I'm like, oh.
And in all seriousness, I give Chris a hard time because it's funny that we're like 27 below and he's at 27. But in all seriousness, it is a bad problem in Arizona because unlike us, you guys aren't prepared for your water lines to freeze and nothing's made for that to happen. So it is a big deal when it freezes in Arizona.
Yeah. Yep.
Most people live on slab foundation, so if you have a pipe break in your house, they got to drill up in the middle of your living room to find the leak, That's not fun.
No, and I don't well, Mike knows because Mike lived in Arizona. So when you live in a hot climate, your body becomes...
You acclimate, for lack of a better term.
Right. So my blood's warmer than Mike's blood is, right? So if I went to Illinois right now, I would be fucking freezing my ass off. It would take me a couple days to freeze my ass off because I remember as a kid going back there visiting my grandmother in, mid-December, and there's 2 inches of snow on the ground. I could sit on her front porch in a T-shirt and jeans the first day. By the third day, it's like, holy shit, it's cold out here.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you've talked to me before. We've discussed off the show that you just, go to work in maybe a hoodie when it's 7 degrees outside.
Yeah, it's all. As long as it's above 0, I just wear a hoodie.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Fuck that. Like I went out because I start the truck in the winter before I put little man in it and go to school. And I went out to start a truck and I was fucking cold just going out into the garage.
Oh, I remember being in Arizona when it would get to 30, 35. And, you know, when you're, like you said, when you're used to it being 100, 90, and
80.
Yeah. All of a sudden it's 50 degrees. You're like, fuck, it's cold.
Yeah.
I was there too. The first
50,
winter that I lived back here was brutal. I mean, anybody that saw me that winter, I can't lie about it. I was fucking miserable.
Yeah, see, 50 is not bad to me. Like right now, it's the high today is 59, which we're probably hitting that high right now. The rest of this week, it doesn't get past 70.
This is the 1 week in winter, ladies and gentlemen, for Arizona.
It's going on 2 now. Actually.
Oh,
yeah.
There's
Like it doesn't, like Tuesday and Wednesday next week, it doesn't get past 57. Like that's some serious shit right there. Serious.
Yeah.
And the fucking wind was blowing last night, and it took stop Siri, and it took okay. I can't even fathom that, dude. My nipples.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. It's 1.
Mike's showing a thing with his temperature in Pontiac is 1 degrees. My nipples would fall off, dude.
So if you've ever watched Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and they're sitting in the back of the pickup truck and they're driving to Stubbville to pick up the train, right before they get there, Steve Martin says, "What do you suppose the temperature is?" John Candy just says, 1.
Yeah.
The fucking dog's frozen. Yeah.
Yep.
That's where we're at.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah. Mm-mm.
So it was 27 below wind chill when I walked into work today, and I told Chris before we started, I walked out and it was 3 degrees and it actually felt warm.
27 below
wind chill.
Wind chill.
Yeah, it was 8 below actual temperature.
Holy shit.
It's going to get down to 9 below tonight.
Now, how long could you stand out there before being cold?
At that temperature, if you have any exposed skin at all, you will have frostbite in less than 30 minutes.
Wow.
So right at 30 minutes, we'll say.
Wow. So when Coughlin and the Giants beat Favre and the Packers, or was it Rodgers and the Packers, on the way to trump the Patriots' 19-0 season to 18-1, his cheeks got all red.
Yeah, he probably had frostbite.
Oh, he did. Oh, they talked about it, but it must have been that cold.
Yeah.
Must have been that cold.
And that's the thing, is it fucking hurts. Like, so I had a coat on because I'm not stupid, and I had gloves on.
Yeah.
But even just the walk from the parking lot to where there was heat in the hallway, I took my gloves off and my hands were just beat red.
Wow.
And I was walking fast.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fucking cold.
Why didn't you take an Uber from your car to the front door?
That would be nice. They need a shuttle service.
Yeah. Yeah. Get a
shuttle.
With little cocoa and donuts.
When I was on night shift,
right,
5-6 years ago, we actually had 60 to 70 below wind chill.
Fuck.
That was the coldest I've ever experienced. So to put it in perspective for people, the second I walked outside and took my first breath in, you could feel your lungs freeze.
Holy shit.
That's the first time I ever experienced that in my life. So like walking in this morning,
it
was cold and you were huffing and puffing, but you know, it was still, you could feel your lungs working, right?
Yeah.
I'm used to taking deep breaths, exhaling deep breaths. So I did the same thing in the 60 below, and you could literally feel your fucking lungs freezing. So I was like, you had to like, you know, kind of breathe real shallow.
Wow.
To even keep moving.
That's insane,
it was bad.
Dude.
That's the coldest I've ever experienced. 118 above and 60 below, 70 below wind chill.
That's quite the dynamic change of weathering. Yes.
Yes.
I can't imagine.
I was not in Arizona for the 123. You guys had that like 2 years before I moved there.
Yeah. And that may be the reason why when we had to leave Illinois because of my asthma. That may have been the reason why. Because asthma's all about the lungs and shit.
Sure.
So
it's humid as fuck here. That's why.
Sure. I don't mind the humidity though. The humidity actually, I like.
Well, you probably outgrew your asthma, right?
I did. Well, I came back when I was 40. I outgrew it, but it came back when I was 40. But it was still bad enough and still relevant enough that when I was 19, no branch in the military would take me.
We have that in common.
Yeah, Army, Navy, and Marines. I didn't go to the Air Force because I didn't have the vision. But yeah, They all like America. Not going to happen. Dude, speaking of America, I know you didn't watch the inauguration. So remember Barron, Trump's son from Melania?
Yes.
So was it 2020? No. Was it 20? It was 2016 when he got elected, right?
2016, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So 8 years ago, right? Barron was this punk ass little kid, right? I don't say punk ass. I just say that lovingly. I don't know the kid. But remember the whole media lit him up and just slammed him because he was distracted and, like he was a little kid. Like, it's well past his bedtime. Well, fucking dude towers over everybody. Everyone. Like in the 8 years since, shit you not, he's a couple inches taller than everybody on the stage. So we were kind of trying to figure out who the hell his dad is, because it's obviously not Trump. Melania's wearing heels that, probably 4 inches in height. But kid you not, when they're walking back, because they showed the procession when they left, and they go behind the scenes, and Trump and Melania holding hands, and then his next kids, and Barron's the last one because he doesn't have a significant other with him. Dude, he's fucking this much taller, 3-4 inches taller than everybody else in his family. It's insane. When he was on the stage, he was the tallest person on stage. He was sitting next to Elon Musk, and he was towered to Elon Musk. I'm like, holy shit, he's fucking tall.
Sometimes weird things happen, though. I got a friend that neither one of, like, him or her are not big people at all, but their son is built like a brick shit house.
Really?
Is like at least 2 or 3 inches taller than the dad.
Wow.
I'm like, what happened? And it's clearly his kid, because
facially,
just like Jake looks like you,
Yeah.
this kid looks exactly like his dad. So
Okay.
there's no
Yeah.
question that,
Yeah.
there was no funny business going on. But I'm like, how the fuck did you get so big?
Yeah, see, I have friends that they're like that, like their mom and dad were normal sized people, and then they're just just as twice as tall, twice as wide. But then you look in their family tree, they had an uncle, on one side of the family that was a mammoth of a man.
And that's where it comes from, right?
Yeah.
Those
So that's
genes are still floating around in there somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still a trip though. It's still a trip to see somebody that's just in 8 years. It's just, it's like, fuck, I just can't get over how tall he got. I don't know, it just blew my mind.
That is crazy.
Because you're looking on the stage and they're standing. I'm like, what the fuck is that back there standing next to Musk that's so tall? And then you realize, holy shit, that's him and Melania's kid, and he just shut up, man. So one of the things that he did right away was remove America from the World Health Organization. Did you see that?
That one I didn't see. I saw where he pulled out of the Paris, whatever that shit is.
I didn't see that one.
The climate change stuff.
The World Health one, and I don't quote me on this, but they asked him why, and I don't remember verbatim, but it was basically that there's 349 million people in America, 1.4 billion in China, population-wise. Right?
Correct.
Okay. Or 4, I'm sorry. Right, okay, yeah.
China has like 1.14 or 1.4 billion.
Yeah. So he was talking about the math and the costs associated with what we pay and what they pay, and it didn't level out. And he's like, why should we spend all this money when we have that much less, and we're doing all our own research here and contribute into that? That's that we're wasting all this money. That kind of thing I can see. I don't know the ramifications of it down the road. I don't pretend to know what the World Health Organization does from a global standpoint. But that goes back to the business side of it, fiscally, right? From a fiscal standpoint, if you're spending that much and a country with 3 times as much people spending less than that, well, then what the fuck? But again, I don't.
So here's what the doctors are going to tell you.
Okay.
Because I've listened to hundreds of hours of podcasts on the subject. The reason you don't want to do that is because the rest of the world is so fucking far ahead of us in medicine, because we have morals. I'm doing air quotes, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, confetti.
Confetti just fell down. I always know how to ruin my own fucking shit.
It's funny, dude, though.
Anyway, the reason that they would tell you don't want to do that is because like in the Netherlands and certain countries don't have restrictions on stem cell research. They don't have restrictions on like psychedelics, marijuana, all these drugs that we have considered demonic because all we care about is selling pills.
Sure.
Putting it into perspective bluntly.
Agreed. Yeah, but
that's why
truth,
you
though.
don't want to do that. We are so far behind medically now.
Yeah.
Like if you needed
Okay.
if you needed a serious heart procedure even in the 80s,
Yeah.
Germany was 30 years ahead of us. They're probably 100 years ahead of us now.
I didn't know that. I know Germany's like outstanding when it comes to green energy and stuff, but I didn't realize that medical wise.
I learned that through my dad's uncle. He just happened to be over there when he had a massive heart attack and he needed like a quadruple bypass or something.
Okay.
And at that time, I'm pretty sure that wasn't even being done here. And they basically told him, you're lucky you were here because if you're in the United States, you'd be dead as a fucking doornail.
Wow. That's crazy, man.
That's why we don't want to pull out of shit like that.
Okay.
And
that
the same
sense.
thing with the fucking climate shit. You know, he's basically trying to say that that climate change doesn't exist.
Right, like, but remember, we've talked about it before, and it's not that climate change exists or doesn't exist, but we've talked about it before that when we were growing up, you and I, the biggest thing, we're going into another ice age, right? And then all of a sudden, it's global warming. Well, which is it? You know what I mean? And
the problem is the Earth is going to heat up 2 or 3 degrees before it cools down again, right? So say goodbye to Florida, say goodbye to California, say goodbye, the United States is going to have a new landscape.
Yeah, are we going to lose anything with California? I mean,
not really.
No,
that's me. Yeah.
No, I mean, all the people can move to other states and shit, but California is so fucked up, dude. And go back to Landman when he was talking about the oil and barrels and shit, and he even said, I don't know what the fuck California's doing, how they're charging and how they're even making money because the way they tax the shit out of stuff.
I'll find it and send it to you so you can post it on the Facebook page, but I actually have a picture of what the North Pole Greenland area looked like in 2016.
Okay.
And in 9 years now, you'll be fascinated at how much of the permafrost has melted.
Okay.
A big chunk of Antarctica just busted off a month or so ago. That's the size of like Manhattan. They've been watching it for years and years and years. Well, it just fell in the ocean. So now they're monitoring what that's going to do.
So why don't they just get a giant freeze gun, and just aim it, like the death ray, the laser, and just hit the Antarctica with these freeze guns. And just start creating more and more icebergs. Add icy water to the icebergs.
Isn't there a superhero that does that?
They freeze. Well, what was his
Mr.
name?
Freeze.
Yeah, Mr. Freeze, and he also had Silver Surfer that he uses the remember the Saturday morning cartoon Spidey and his friends?
Yes, Silver Surfer was badass.
Yeah, and he was, whoosh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Let's get them.
Yeah, let's get them. I think that would be better. Maybe a superhero should run for president next time, Why not?
I guess where I'm at is I agree with what you said in that's what most people think, right? And
about
that's why
superheroes?
that's why they love Trump. They hear it and they're like, "Oh, he's saving us money." It's like, no, he's pissing everybody off.
Yes, yeah, and that's why I brought it up, and that's why I preempted that with I'm not going to begin to understand WHO and what the role is, what they do, and how it's.
But who has hundreds of hours to listen to podcasts except for me, right? That's not lost on me either. The average person is trying to get through their day, raise their family. Yeah. They got 10 minutes to listen to a couple sound bites.
Sure.
And that's it, right? So what they hear in that 10 minutes is, oh, yep, that sounds good to me.
Yeah. Well, that's what yeah, because the way he explained it, layman's terms, simple math, because we all know America's stupid. I'm not saying everybody in general, but
they're uninformed.
There, it's a better word. We're not stupid. We're uninformed. But if you have a simple question, which was given to him,
but you're stupid for being uninformed. Sorry.
Right. The simplest way for him to answer the question was how he did it. It's costing us. We have this population, they have that population. We're spending this much money, they're spending that much money.
And it sounds good.
Right, and there's a variance between the two, so why should we continue spending that kind of money when the variance is that extreme that's money we could apply. I mean, who knows what we're going to do with that money.
The reason I love you, brother, is because we can have this debate and you don't get mad and I don't get mad. The average person gets fucking invested emotionally and they get excited. And I'm like, I know that, you don't have the time. I'm just trying to tell you what I know.
Yeah.
Right? Everything is not black and white. Everything is not, we're going to either spend money or not spend money.
Right. But to him, I think it is.
It is. Yeah. And that's one of his limitations as a human being, right? I equate everything to music. So nobody sees the thousands of hours that you and I put into Free Man before it hit the stage, right?
Right, exactly.
They only see the 3 minutes it took to play the song.
Right.
Wow, those guys are talented.
Yeah.
It didn't start out that way.
No.
It started out like a fucking train wreck, right?
Right.
And we refined it to what it became.
Yeah, your guys' talent level rose to mine, so we're all equals.
Yes, 100%. It took a while.
and that, boys and girls, is the definition of lead singer's disease, which I never had.
But we would always joke about shit like that, man. That's what made it fun, you know?
Yep, absolutely.
Of course I'm the best.
Yeah, but you have to,
you got to believe that to get up there.
Right, and I think that's part of the problem with Trump. Trump has such a fucking major. He's such a major narcissist that even Nikki was talking about some of the stuff that he was saying in inauguration. I mean, he was railing Biden and Harris, man. They just.
I did see a little bit of that this morning.
Fucking destroying them, right? And that's because that's who he is. He's like we've talked about. He's a bully. And that's why the Israeli and Palestine thing, they went to a truce, because you want to befriend that bully. You want to keep that bully close. Love your enemies.
But once again,
right.
That's the America that I grew up in, that you were brainwashed to believe that kind of behavior towards another American citizen is fucking unacceptable.
Agreed.
So if we accept that now, you might as well throw in the fucking flag and the American card and say it's Trumpville, right?
Yep.
Let Trump do whatever the fuck he wants. Let him say whatever the fuck he wants.
Yep.
Let him lie. Let him fucking do whatever.
Yep.
Because that's what you've said.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He's not acting, and I'm fine with it. That's the difference between, I'm just trying to put into perspective what that office is supposed to mean.
Yeah.
And what we asked for as a country is not what we got, right? He is not what we would consider presidential as I was raised to believe what a president was, right?
Agreed, absolutely.
They're supposed to be well-spoken, smart, distinguished.
Yep. Charismatic.
He is charismatic.
Yeah.
He might be the greatest cult leader in the history of the world. I'll give him credit for that.
Well, it's kind of like Obama was. I listened to something the other day where it's actually the book I'm listening to. They talked about the reference to Obama, and when he was doing his speeches and stuff leading up to the election, the way he would deal with hecklers and his crowds, he would completely manipulate the conversation and reframe the person's words and shit they were heckling him about, and basically all of a sudden become empathetic for what they were saying. But by the time he was done doing what he did, twisting everything around, that person was then on his side, because he was such a great speaker. And you and I agree to that. Nick and I agree to that. Obama, love him or hate him, the man can hold a crowd in the palm of his hands for whatever amount of time he wants to.
But to put this into perspective and to prove to people, when I make the statement that I fucking hate them all equally and that they're all trying to screw you just in different ways.
Yep.
Obama killed more innocent fucking people than any president in the history of the United States with his drone strikes.
Yep.
80% of the people that he killed were innocent fucking civilians that had nothing to do with anything.
Nope.
Wrap your fucking head around that for a second.
Yep.
That's a fact.
Oh, yeah. And that's insane.
That's what made me not respect him, right? He saved the auto industry. He did some good things that helped me as a blue-collar worker going to work in a factory every day.
Right.
He really helped me. Biden really helped me. He signed the infrastructure bill. What people don't realize is at the end of Trump's term, manufacturing in this country was at a fucking standstill. We were all getting ready to get laid off. Things were not looking good at all for people who build things.
See, I didn't know that.
Oh, it was fucking horrible.
Why is that? Why is that?
Because behind the scenes, he's a rich fucking businessman. Okay. He's not doing anything. They say that if you vote Republican and you don't make north of $450,000 a year, you might as well just shoot yourself in the foot because none of them are making any decisions to make your life easier. They're doing the Ronald Reagan trick. They're doing the, we're going to make our rich friends richer. And that's what happened. The stock market was doing good. It appeared that the economy was doing good because white collar jobs on up. If you had money, you were making money. Right. Well, people who have money, that's all they care about is themselves, right? We got money. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Well, I was born in the fucking project, so you motherfuckers that say pull yourself up by your bootstraps, that's easier said than done when you don't have a nickel to your name. I've lived in my car, right?
Yeah.
I know how hard it is to start over. I'm not just making shit up.
Oh no, and I do. We were there, right there with you. People.
You've been destitute too. I know.
Yeah,
that.
yeah. We've never brought this up on our show, but when the market crashed the first time, we lost everything. I'm like bankruptcy, foreclosure, repo, you name it, we did it. Like,
I know.
I know. But
that's why I'm not saying anything. You know, like that's your story to tell. But I know that we've both been there.
Yeah, but I'm bringing that up just so people that listen to us and have listeners to understand that we both have that same commonality, among other things, that we it's very emasculating to be the leader of your family and then all of a sudden wake up one day and the entire market has crashed. And we talked about it on an episode before. Every time I close a deal, 63 people get paid. Like, that's legit. It's not bullshit. 63 people, and I kind of, off the top of my head that day, I dropped 30 names of vendors that get directly paid from what I do. That's 63 people. So imagine, that's why the manufacturing thing just kind of threw me, because I didn't know that. I didn't know the manufacturing was coming to a halt.
Oh yeah. It was that three, and that's, I'm not a Biden fan. I'll tell you a million things that I fucking hate about him.
Sure.
But the one thing that he did right is he signed that $3 billion infrastructure bill. And if you do any kind of traveling in this country, you see the results of that.
Yeah.
So Chris knows I go between here and Michigan all the time, but I used to go further into Michigan. They repaired 180 miles of I-94 in both directions with new overpasses. And part of theirs was paid for by their marijuana money, but part of it was also paid for by that federal funding. And Illinois and everybody else is experiencing the same thing. So as soon as that bill got signed, we have been going like gangbusters ever since. And, you know, I'm always telling you, we're working overtime and 7 days a week and 24 hours a day. And
well, and that's the thing. Infrastructure, you think, would be a mainstay regardless of who's in the office, because you have to continue building the infrastructure of America, because
we gave up on that for a long time.
Right, which is stupid, because like Arizona right now, it's fucking a pain in the ass. You lived here long enough, so you knew. They'll build a section of freeway, then 5 years later, they're going to widen the section of freeway. Well, motherfuckers, why didn't you make it 8 lanes to begin with? They're doing a thing now on the 202 on my side of the valley, which I don't think existed when you were still here. They're widening it to the point they're removing dirt along the on-ramps and off-ramps. That's how much they're widening it.
Holy shit.
Right? They have to push the on-ramps and off-ramps out because they didn't make it wide enough to begin with.
And for the people who have never been to Arizona, Arizona has one of the nicest, most modern freeway systems, probably, maybe not in the world, but for surely in the United States.
Yeah.
Compared to, you just drove in Illinois not that long ago. We got fucking roads, and they're narrow, and you know.
But the problem with your roads too is you have crazy climate, man. We just have hot.
Yeah, but also this part of the country was developed in horse and buggy days. You know, we learned a lot of things from Middle America as we moved west, right? It's like, here's what not to do. One of the bitches that I have with Illinois is you get up around Chicago, and if you don't know where you're going, you will end up
Yeah.
in Wisconsin or Indiana every time. It's not like Arizona where the next mile you can get off and go back a mile, right? That's one thing we learned about city planning.
Yes, exactly.
That's a beautiful thing about that state. I missed my exit. Ah, shit, I just go up to the next one, turn around, right? Yep. If you do that in Illinois, you go up to Wisconsin and turn around. So you're like 18, 20 miles out of your way.
Yeah. Yeah, but it drives us nuts because it doesn't matter. And then we have this little spot by our neighborhood that they keep fucking up. Nikki hit it last year, and she bottomed out when she hit the hole because the hole wasn't there the morning she left. And then, the vehicle had to be serviced and shit. Those fuckers, I don't know how many times I left the neighborhood the next 2 weeks, and 8 or 9 of them were standing around the hole just looking at it.
Must be a union job.
It's ADOT. It's ADOT. It's Arizona's Department of Transportation, and they'd have like 15
that probably
vehicles.
Is a union job.
They'd have 15 vehicles lined up, and then 8 guys standing around. And legit, I would take pictures of them and post it. I'm like, there's no movement today. No movement today. It's insanity how slow they work. It's like, let's milk the money for much let's milk it for as long as we can, because this is an easy gig, just fixing this one hole.
And some of that's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Being a leader in a union, so I can speak to that too.
Sure.
We have our faults as well, and we admit it amongst each other, right? If you're talking at the international level, like they do things that make our life at the local level hard. There's things that unions could do better to improve their relationship with not only their employer,
right,
but helping their employer make more money by working together. But there's also skin in the game on the other side too, right? Like a lot of employers like ours disdain the union. So they just, if it's not their idea, they're not going to do it. So
yeah,
there's problems on both sides. And that's a lot of the reason that the Japanese and the Chinese fucking kicked our ass, because their leadership doesn't give them an option, right?
No.
It's like you do it or we'll send you to a fucking work camp and you can break rock all day.
Yeah. Yeah. Performer,
I'll build your iPhone.
Yeah. Yeah. Performer, you're dead. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no gray. There's no in between. It's black and white. That's it.
Yeah, there was people at the I can't remember the name of the factory, but they built iPhones over there in China. They were jumping off the roof and committing suicide.
Oh, because they failed.
No, because they were working like 20 hours a day. They have to live where they work, right?
Oh.
There's dormitories at the factory, so they literally live where they work. So they had to put nets. Foxconn, that's the name of the country.
Wow.
Or country. That's the name of the company.
Okay.
They put nets around the building to keep the people from committing suicide.
Oh, so when they jumped off the building, it would just bounce back up?
Yeah. Just like the circus.
That's terrible.
That's how horrible their working conditions are. So, tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, when you go to work and you think that your day is bad, there's people that have it a lot worse.
Yeah, it's really not that bad, man.
5,000 kids under 5 in the Congo die every day because they don't have clean water. Wrap your head around that for a second.
Wow.
These are facts, man. These are things that I learned that I'm like, you know what? My life's not that bad. I got it great. I got a fucking nice place to live. I got heat, food. But I find on a day-to-day basis, these are not things people think about, right?
No.
You should.
Yeah.
You really should. Every morning when you wake up, be happy you woke up.
Yeah.
I am, because of all the times I know that I should have been dead, right?
Yeah.
So every day for me is a chance to do things right. And I hope from the time that I made that decision to talking to you right now, that every day I become a better person. That's my goal.
Yeah, and I was telling this to Nikki the other day, like just our conversations we've been having before, after, during, and while on the Chris and Mike show. Selfless plug.
Plug away.
But I have though. I've recognized some of my asshole tendencies, because we all have them, and I've reeled them back, and I've like when we go dancing at Denim and Diamonds on Saturdays, it's what we do is a country swing, so it's basically 6 steps, right? And if you do it correctly, you have a very small piece of real estate on the dance floor. Okay. And there's these fucks that think they're ballroom dancing. There's these people that take up, they're so like engaged in their own little world that they're taking up space where 6 couples could be dancing. Okay. And one of my big things is Nikki's not big. She's like 5'2", 120 some odd pounds, right? There's been occasions where people have dropped an elbow on her head, because they're not respecting those around you. And so my biggest, whenever in that, my protection mode kicks in,
Sure.
And that's just, but in protection mode kicks in, and I have that look. You've seen the look.
You're an intimidating character. Chris is a big guy.
Right. It's like, not even such a big guy, but just the look the look that I can, that alone can stop people in their tracks because,
Yeah, but you're not small, and you work out. You're
I'm
built,
not.
and you got the look. I mean,
Right.
my dad's got the same thing.
Okay,
Steele's 6'4", 225, whatever he is. He's a big fucking guy.
Yeah.
And in his day, he was like you. All he had to do was, he never yelled at us. He didn't beat us. He didn't.
Just look.
My dad's not like that. All he
Right.
had to do was look at you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do whatever you want.
Yeah. So I've learned. And it's a couple with the Puppet Master's Bible and our conversations. I've learned how to kind of reel that stuff in. Like Saturday, we went out, we were dancing. There's a few moments on the dance floor where people just being, foxing on the way home. I was like, "Did you notice that I didn't, da-da-da?" She was like, "I did."
Good for you, man.
Right. So
there's a time and a place for that.
Right.
And you
but
find
it's just, right. And that's what's cool. So this is it's a direct relation to our conversations and how you live your life because it's impacted how I look at things different now than I wouldn't have 70 episodes ago.
And you've done that for me. I mean,
that's cool.
I got a huge compliment the other day on, how much we've improved and, blah, blah, blah. I love listening to the podcast. And I said, I'm going to tell you something. Thank you for one.
Yeah.
And thank you for everybody that's listening.
Absolutely.
And that this has helped you somehow. That means more to Chris and I than you can imagine.
It does, for sure.
With that said, I could not agree with what you just said more. This has been more therapeutic to me, and selfishly, I've encountered the same things as you, right?
Oh, good. Yeah. Yeah.
I notice when I want to exert authority or, just stupid shit.
Yeah.
That when you think it through, you're like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Right? I ask myself that question at least 50 times a day. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Why do I care?
Yeah.
Right? And I think as an average everyday human trying to get through your day,
Sure.
you need to ask yourself that question too. When you're about ready to blow up at somebody or let shit bother you, ask yourself, why do you care?
Yeah.
I hear people, they'll look at somebody, and I've said this before, but it's worth mentioning again. They'll look at somebody and they'll say, what the fuck is that guy wearing? Why the fuck's he got to wear that? Why is what's he trying to accomplish? I don't know.
Feel good.
Maybe those are the only fucking clothes he's got. That's that's my first thought, right?
Well,
That's my mom talking. Back in the day, you would make fun of the kids that had the ratty clothes or whatever, and my mom would be quick, and she's right to remind you.
Yeah.
That may be the only pair of pants they have, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then I reached a point in my life where that was the only pair of pants that I had. So everything comes full circle.
Sure it does.
But to bring it all the way back, that thought had just crossed my mind not a week ago. How much we got done with an episode, and I probably didn't come into it with the right frame of mind. But by the end of it, I got in the shower, and halfway through my shower, I'm thinking, man, not only did I not go into that right, but as the episode went on, I got healed, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We found our rhythm, and we figured out what we were going to talk about, and whatever was bothering me at the beginning when we started was gone, right?
Yeah.
I don't even remember what it was. That's how therapeutic this is.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm with you.
I love it.
Yeah, I do too. And so, unfortunately, we got to wrap it up because I got to get ready to run.
It's all good, brother. It's all good.
That's part of it, though, for sure.